everyone, I apologize for my delay in getting this video posted. I wanted to show you how I made this little journal slash stencil holder for my Living in Your Journal stencils. I originally made this because I was playing around with using Reader's Digest books to make junk journals, and so I created it. And if you go online, you'll see how other people have created it. There are a few ways to do this, or there are several ways. I did it by taking out the pages. I put in a bookbinding tape, and then I covered it with a bookbinding fabric tape, and this is fabric tape from Tina Walker's Frog Dog Studios on Etsy. And then I punched holes and put the grommets and the eyelets in with my handy dandy crocodile, and then I put in some elastic, and so I wanted to have it as a small junk journal, or use it with my Living in Your Journal journals, because I like to be able to take pages in and out. I feel like when I commit to a journal and then I don't feel like it's going well, I feel like I just need to toss out the whole journal. This way I could take out pages, sew them if I needed to, take things out, put things in. So I was going to create this as that type of journal. And then I have a subscription to the Work of Heart stencils, and I had purchased the 2022 stencils. I get the monthly stencils sent to me, and I don't really have a place to keep them because they come in these wonderful sturdy little envelopes like this, but if I can't see them, I don't know how to use them or what I have. So then I thought, if I take a file folder and manipulate that, I could use the file folder as my stencil holder. So I needed to first determine the size of the page that I wanted to have in here, and for this one I decided that it was going to be 6.5 inches by 10 inches, and then folded in half would be 5 by 6.5, right? So then I had to figure out how is the best way to use this file folder to create this, and what I came up with is the following. I wanted to utilize this bottom fold of the file folder and cut it and use it as a pocket. So you'll see here, these are nested into each other. And this is the bottom of the file folder, okay? So but the first thing I wanted to do is to cut off the top. I wanted to keep this tab because I like the look of the tab, is to keep this tab, and then the remaining at the bottom would be the pocket. So for me, I took out a Fiskars paper cutter, and I wanted to make sure that this was part of it because this is included in my 6.5 inches. So 6.5 on here is kind of hard to see, so I put this little piece of washi tape here, and so I'm going to cut here to make my first cut. That's wrong. 10 inches, take that back. 10 inches is my first cut because this is going to be this folded in half, right? Okay, 10 inches is my first cut. This extra can be used in one of the things I'll show you about decorating the pages. That's up to you and how you want to do that. So that's my first cut, 10.5 or 10, and then 6.5. So my page from top to bottom is 6.5. So I want to put 6.5 at the top of the page, cut that down. Okay, now I'm left with this and this. This shorter piece, I don't need. This will go in here. And then when folded in half, will become the first page in your signature. Okay, so then what I did is I had 3. You only need 3 if you're going to do something like this where it's 12 months, because each of these has 4 sections. So I did January, February, and then the next one is March, April, and the next one's May, June, and then you just put them there and then do the reverse. Now, a couple of things I did for my pages is I have distressed inks. I don't use that much. So I sprayed them with a few different colors in distressed ink. And then before I made my first one, I took one of these little pieces of scrap and I sprayed the ink that I thought I was going to use. See, like, this is not very permanent, but I sprayed it on there. And then I used one of the stencils just to make sure that it would show up. And then I also wanted to test my alphabet stamp. I use these little alphabet stamps to stamp out the month and year, because I will be doing one for 23 as well. And then for me, I thought Stays On ink worked the best. That's what I used. And then I just went through, and for each little pocket I used the stencil, and so I know when I'm done with this stencil that this is June and it goes back into June. Another thing that I did was that some of these stencils have a stencil and a mask. So the mask you punch out, and I wanted a safe place to keep those. So I took some vellum and I cut it down to the size of the page, and just make sure you keep it away from the fold so that it folds easily. As I cut this down, and then I used double-sided tape, and I put the tape around here, and I made a little pocket, and it's holding up pretty well. You could sew it. At first I was thinking I would sew it here because I love the look of a sewing machine stitch on paper, but then I was kind of worried about it being too tight and having it be a little snug to put this in. These are not going anywhere. And so then they just fit right back in here, and then you can close it up, and then you'll have your stencils on the bookshelf. If you wanted to, like this I used as my first example, because although this was my favorite design, the book is definitely falling apart more than anything else. So I might put some PVA glue on there. You know, at some point I might just put fabric or bookbinding tape or something like that over the spine, but I really do like the look of the Reader's Digest book. It brings me back to my childhood. So that's it. I might put this on YouTube. I don't really have a YouTube channel. I do have one, but it's quite old. But I hope y'all enjoy it, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.